Welcome, Internet, to a podcast featuring only me, alone, in my empty, messy room, about nothing. This podcast is not about anything at all, other than simply hearing what the fuck is going on in my brain. Because there's a lot of things always going on in my head, despite the fact that not a whole lot comes out of it. I am going all in on being an artist. For the past little bit, I just can't get out of this mode where all I can value myself in is being an artist online. And I've been here before. I've been here a few times, sometimes for extremely long, sustained periods of time. And I feel like it's important that I do what I want from other artists. I make art, and I've always made art, because I want things, and so I try and simply push them into existence, because I am the only one who can answer my own desires, uninfluenced by anything else. And what I want from artists is to just hear them ramble all of their head brain thoughts, their unorganized trains of thinking, just onto the internet for anyone to hear. You see, I don't think anybody's gonna listen to this shit. I don't think anybody really cares about what I'm saying off script with no editing over maybe like a GIF and some looping music. Maybe I'll skip the music just to avoid copyright, but if I think I can get away with it, then music's good. I don't think anybody's gonna listen to this. But I would listen to it if any of the artists that I really liked made such a thing. I would listen to it every week. In fact, if they put it out every day, just an hour-long ramble of just nothing every day, I would listen to it. Because the things that really keep me going as an artist, and I need to keep going as an artist, otherwise I just feel worthless. The things that keep me going are when other artists talk about how they're doing it, how they got there. Because then I get some understanding. The things that really keep me going is seeing other artists going, and being able to understand it auditorily through language. Because my brain thinks in lexical ways. Everything has to be organized into words and sentences, and so when I hear words and sentences coming from other people, then it gives me some kind of internalized understanding of how they're doing it, how they got here. So how am I doing it? How did I get here? Well, I'll tell you, I guess. That's really, I guess, the most that this episode 0 of the, I don't know what I'll call this thing yet, but I plan to make it a regular series. I plan to make it a regular series for as long as I'm going all in on being an artist. I guess first, I'll tell you how I'm doing it. Well, I'm not doing too great as an artist. I think I upload about one drawing every month, and it's been that way for like a year, and I don't want it to be that way. In fact, right now is September. September became sort of a staple, a tradition of sorts, a very spiritually important month to me as an artist, because September was my first month. September 1st is when I got out of the first job that I had held for a long time, and now by a long time I mean 1 year, it's not that long. I had a retail job working as like a donut fryer for like a year. And it wasn't a bad job. In retrospect, there was nothing wrong with the job. I was good at it. They liked me. Nobody at the job gave me too hard of a time, except for like one guy, but he was about to quit by the time I got out of there anyway. But I hated it. I hated it so much. Because I can't do anything but make art. Like, I can do it, but like, spiritually, I can't do it. And so I quit. And on September 1st, I had nothing. No job. And every single day, I had gone insane. And I went insane. And I just drew a finished image every single day for the entire month of September. And I had only a couple hundred, maybe 300, 400 followers on Fur Affinity at that time. And from September 1st to the last day of September of uploading these drawings every day for that whole month, suddenly I had over 1,000 followers, maybe even 2,000 at that point. People wanted me to start posting my art on other websites just because they liked my art enough that they wanted to see it in the places that were most convenient for them, specifically Twitter. People asked me to go to Twitter, and so I did. And I suddenly felt like I had become a part of this artist community that I had never been a part of before, really. Like, I occasionally made drawings, and I never really wanted notoriety. I never really wanted, like, notability. But suddenly, people were, like, loving my art. And so I thought, like, that's my way out. I can do commissions. I can do commissions instead of working at this job. I can do the art. And that's what began my art career. And so every September, I kind of wanted to do that one drawing every day thing. And the year after, it worked out fine. I did it, you know, and I felt like I learned a lot from these months where I drew every day, because they were kind of a way for me to optimize my artistic drawing process, allowing me to create good drawings in a short amount of time. The first year, like, of just being an artist online, I did the September thing again, and it was great. And then the year after, it wasn't. Last September, I failed. It kind of went alright for a little bit. I had to rely on coloring in old sketches that I just hadn't uploaded yet. Like, I couldn't even bring myself to make new drawings. And, you know, this one day, I just went super all in and I made, like, an animation. You know, I made a little animation of just, like, a Glaceon trying to stand up or whatever. And I was like, oh, I made an animation. And then after that, it all fell apart. And I couldn't finish the month. And I felt so defeated. I felt like I'm failing. I felt like I'm failing as an artist. And ever since then, I don't think I've really been succeeding very much. I had a bunch of commissions at some point, and then I just went and I got a job at that same place that I quit before. They hired me again, just so I could refund all the commissions, because I felt like I couldn't do them. I couldn't do them, I mean. And then I quit that job again, because once again I felt like I couldn't do anything but make art. But I didn't go back to it in the way that I did the first time I quit. And I just didn't have that, like, the drive in me of being an artist wasn't there with the desire to be an artist. For the first time, I'd been, like, misaligned in that way. And now I feel like I have to go all in. I have to fucking fix it. Like, I'm so insane at this point. Like, doing anything online doesn't feel right. Even sometimes I'm uncomfortable just hanging around my real world friends. Like, I'll hang out and I'll just feel like I have to be I have to be an artist right now. 'Cause, like, I failed for so long, I can't keep doing it. I can't keep fucking this up. I have to finish my commissions. I have to do a lot of commissions, and I have to start making personal art. I have to, like, work on a comic. I gotta start writing YouTube videos. I gotta edit a podcast with my friends. You know? So, I'm just going all in. I'm going all in, and as part of going all in on being an artist, I'm accepting that other people may actually look up to me. I have to accept that other people look up to me, because that'll make me feel like I can't let them down. I can't let down the people who look up to me. You know? One of the greatest artistic motivators is, I guess, one of the greatest motivators for anything in general is not just an obligation to yourself, but it's other people. And I don't feel an obligation to my community. I don't feel an obligation to, like, furries in general. I don't feel an obligation to my commissioners. I feel most an obligation to anybody who could look up to me as an artist. I used to be my own favorite artist. Back when I started, like, drawing every day, you know, and I sort of got put on the map of like, fat furry artists, you know, whatever. I was my own favorite artist, and I can't say I am anymore. And I gotta fix it. I gotta stop letting me down. I gotta stop letting down any potential fans of mine. Like, I feel like I'm letting them all down. I'm letting everybody down. I'm letting my commissioners down. I'm letting the people who patron me for some reason, I'm letting them down. I don't know. I have to fix it. I sort of lost my train of thought there. You know, I really started rambling at just increasingly incoherent lines of thought that just never got finished. But I guess all I'm trying to say is, I hope that if anybody really looks up to me as an artist, to at least one person, this sort of thing is valuable to them. Just, like, knowing what's going through the head of me. And it's sort of adding on another layer for myself, thinking, if I'm making recordings like this for people who might look up to me as an artist, I have to be an artist that can be looked up to. I have to be trying. As much as I was when I started, when I first considered myself to have become an artist, back in that first September, when I got a bunch of followers at first. I have to be trying that hard. And I have to be trying harder. Right now I have to be trying harder. Because about a month ago, I opened up commissions again for the first time, after I had refunded all those old ones. I opened up commissions, and I was gonna make it really small. I was only going to do, like, about, I think I said I wanted six commissions. And the way that I normally do commissions is I kind of open it up for a certain window of time, and I just let the requests pour in, and then I choose the ones that are the most interesting or, I guess, immediately engaging for me, and then I kind of filter out all of the other ones, and I just fill up the slots that I had allocated for myself ahead of time. Which is a system which is a little bit hard for me to manage sometimes, because I really don't like telling a lot of people that I have to not accept them. But this time, I just decided, like, I can't settle for going easy on myself. I gotta jump right in. And so I just literally accepted every single request that came in. And I forgot how many that was. It wasn't an unmanageable amount, but it's a whole lot. I have, like, a list here on, like, a whiteboard that I have set up next to my computer right now. And yeah, it's a lot, but I'm almost actually done with them now. But they've taken so much longer than they should my commissions always take longer than they should. And I have to be working on them. And if I'm not working on them, I need a good excuse. And I think hanging out with friends in real life when they've requested me to actually come to their house, I think that's a pretty good excuse, because friends are pretty valuable. And working on other content of my own is a pretty good excuse. So that's the point of this. That's the point of all this, is recording something that I'm going to upload that I can just say was like something I was doing to take a little bit of a break. Because I'm going hard on these commissions right now, let me tell you what. And I don't have much to show for it yet, because I haven't uploaded any of them to my commissions archive. Because I kind of just like, I don't know, I want to have them all stockpiled and just upload them all at once, because I don't like it when I upload a finished commission to the archive, and then I think like, oh, what if my other commissioners are looking at the archive and seeing me finish other people's stuff before theirs. So I just do all the commissions and then I upload them all at once. That's how I do it now, just so I don't have to worry about the internal worry about, oh, should I do this guy's first or should I do that guy's first? I think my commissioners are way too patient with me. It seems like every single one of them just seems to not mind at all if I say, oh, I'll have a sketch in the next 3 days, and then I don't have one in like a week or two. They're way too nice. If you're a commissioner and you're commissioning me, you can say that I'm being kind of fucking slow, okay? I'm not gonna get mad at you. I promise. You can tell me I'm being slow, because I am. But yeah, I have to finish these commissions in the next few days. They're almost done. A lot of them are done. A lot of them are almost done. And I'm pretty ashamed of the fact that there's still a few that I haven't even sketched. But I'm gonna sketch them and then I'm gonna get them done. Oh my god, I don't know, I'm going insane. Part of my hope with recording these things, talking about me being an artist, is that in the future, if I am still putting in this effort constantly, and I really become an artist that I respect a whole lot more than the artist I am right now, I hope that the progress can be seen, not just in my output, but how I speak. You can see where my mind was while I was in this downtrodden period of depressed productivity, depressed everything. I'm gonna be real, I'm kind of depressed. And compare it to, or not just compare it, but you can see the way I evolve over time. What has happened in my life? You know, where have I gone? What have I been doing? All these sorts of things. And you can see the evolution, and you can see what happened. I don't know. I hope I can see that. I hope that in a year from now, I listen to this, and I think, damn, I really made it since then. What inspired this random, aimless recording is much of what inspired a lot of my output, a lot of why I decided to become an artist in the first place. And I think if I really want to be a good artist, I have to remember how I got here. So let me tell you, in the most unplanned way, in the most rambly, aimless way I can, how did I become an artist? What made this something that I do? And the short answer is that I really feel like early in my life, early relatively, art is almost what gave me the consciousness that I have consuming art and being inspired by other artists is what created the mind I have today that lets me see the world in the ways that I do. I genuinely can't remember having a consciousness before I was like 14. I remember events that happened. I remember stuff that I said, but I don't remember thinking. I don't remember having perceptions about things in the world. And I think that's because, like, I can't really be sure, but I think that's because that was around the time when I started becoming inspired by other artists. Not just in an illustration sense, but in, like, a philosophical sense. I would hear about artists that I look up to. You know, first of all, I would look up to artists, and then I would experience art. I would experience art that I felt was very great, and then I would look into the artists that created it, and I would respect them. And then I would hear those artists describe how they see things. And in the same way that I took inspiration from their drawings, and I would trace things from certain artists, I would use reference. You know, I really learned to draw at all by copying, you know, frames from Avatar: The Last Airbender and Ghibli movies and Evangelion. I hadn't even watched Evangelion at that point, but I just thought it looked really good. In the same way that I copied the art styles, I started to see things. I started to think about things through the lens of, like, how would these artists, you know, when I hear them in interviews and I listen to YouTube videos from certain artists that I really enjoy, how would they see things? You know, how would they be thinking about them? And that's really what gave me the consciousness that I have today, the thought processes that I have. And maybe it's really arrogant or possibly even irresponsible to start to want to put myself out there because of that kind of origin. Like, I'm making this because of the artists that I look up to used to make things like this. You know, a certain AnyTuber that I really liked had videos on a second channel that were nothing but endless, unhinged rambling about just random things that went through the head of the person. And they became such a huge influence on me that now I find myself doing this. It's 6 a.m. now, and I'm just gonna keep rambling. Speaking of the early days of my artistry, when I was in school, I used to draw through every single class. Every single class in school, I would pull out my notebook and I would just start drawing, because it's all I wanted to do. After I realized that drawing was a fun thing and that there was so much to learn about it, I didn't want to do anything but just, like, practice it every day. And I wasn't a kid that had a lot of access to, like, technology, like phones. Like, I actually rejected smartphones when they were first, like, catching on, you know, way back when I was in, like, I think I would have been in elementary school at the time. There was like this kid at my school that had, like, a smartphone, and they would talk about how cool the smartphone is. And, you know, my family just used things like flip phones from Track Phone. And I was like, why the fuck would I ever want a smartphone? You know? A smartphone is just a computer, but worse in every single way. And I have a computer at my house. I don't need a shitty computer in my pocket everywhere I go. And that's how I felt about smartphones. And so I didn't have a smartphone until, like, I was almost out of high school. Just because it felt like you needed to have one at some point. Because there was lots of things that required, like, an app on your phone instead of a program on your computer. Barbaric. I still don't like smartphones. But this means I didn't have anything to entertain myself with throughout class. There was no phone to check. Couldn't bust out a DS in the middle of class or anything. So I just pulled out a notebook and I started drawing every single day. And that's all I did basically throughout all of middle school and high school. Like halfway through middle school, I guess, is when I really started getting into drawing. But I had started drawing in elementary school. I remember there was this drawing that I had of a picture of Sonic, and I drew it totally from imagination. I just remembered the features of Sonic and sort of how they looked, and then I drew Sonic. Even though I wasn't even a fan of Sonic, Sonic was just fun to draw. And I was so proud of it, you know, because it wasn't a stick figure. It wasn't a stick figure, and it looked good. It looked like a real drawing by an artist. And I was like, oh my god, I can draw things. I can draw, like, real things that aren't a simple object or a stick figure. I can draw Sonic the fucking Hedgehog. And from that day forth, I just tried to learn. I tried to learn how to do it more. And it was kind of slow until halfway through middle school. I started copying things from, like, Avatar and looking at online tutorials from people like Mark Crilly. And then it was like in high school, about halfway through 9th grade, it was like, this is what I do. I go to school, the teachers tell me to not draw in my notebook, and I do it anyway, and I keep fucking doing it until they send me to the office, which they never did, or they just ignore me. I would have so many teachers, like really a surprising amount, that would tell me, stop drawing in class. And then I would put away the notebook for a minute, and I would bring it out again, and they would see me drawing, and at some point, they just stopped asking me to not draw in class. They just let me do it. Because I still passed my test, I passed all my classes. I don't mean to brag or anything, but school wasn't that hard for me. And I just drew through every class, and I guess teachers accepted it at some point. Except for, like, a couple that were just perpetually mad at me and would, like, really get on me. But the rest of them just gave in. They just let me draw. Because that's what I did. And at some point, I guess I was so notable in my school for drawing that I won, like, I won an award when I graduated. You know, in the yearbook, they had, like, all these different, like, categories of, like, best this, best that, and there was a most artistic award that I remember there were some other girls in the school that would, like, go around and they would, like, ask people, like, hey, in the yearbook, vote for me, most artistic, you know, and they would show people their drawings, and they'd be like, I'm a real artist, you know. And I was so hesitant to show other people my drawings that, like, if somebody looked over my shoulder, I would just immediately reflexively crumple up the piece of paper and throw it away. And I got really infamous for this, but because I was always drawing in class, everybody knew that I was drawing. Like, the only thing anybody knew about me, except for, like, my close friends, was just that I was the kid who was drawing in the class, and if you looked, they would throw it away. And so I was that notable, I guess, for just being that kind of person. And so at the end of the year, I won most artistic, and I didn't have any drawings to show for it in the yearbook. They wanted me to take a picture with one of my drawings. I had thrown all of them away. I didn't save any of them. And the ones that I did save were the ones that I posted online, which I didn't want to show to my classmates. And that's really what got me started on drawing. It's just, like, no phone, no DS in class. So I was just like almost addicted to drawing, where that's what I wanted to do instead of go to school. Drawing is what I did to pass the time. It's what like made me feel like, my life was enjoyable. And this is gonna sound really depressing, but over time, things like watching YouTube videos, and it especially got bad after I went on Twitter. I was recommended to people, start posting on Twitter because people liked my art. And unfortunately, going on Twitter totally destroyed like my motivation to do art, because for some reason at some point I literally just got like internet addicted. Like, I think a lot of people hear from their parents like, oh, internet addiction, you got internet addiction, you're always sitting in front of those screens, you should really go outside, you should do things with your friends. And they're on to something. I'm not gonna say they're right, because my parents still say shit like that, and I'm like, you really don't know what you're talking about. But you can get addicted to the internet in the same way that you can get like addicted to alcohol or anything else. And I so effortlessly avoided so many vices just because there were programs like Dare in my school that would be like, hey kids, like drugs are like bad for you, they can seem fun at first, but they can fuck up your life. And I was like, oh, that can fuck up my life? I guess I'm just not even going to touch it. I'm not even going to consider it. I'm not going to risk it. I'm not going to gamble. I'm not going to do anything. But then I watched like a fucking million hours of YouTube a week, and now I don't draw anymore because instead of drawing being what I pass my time with, drawing is something that I have to take myself away from stuff like Twitter and YouTube to make myself do. And that's totally destroyed everything. It's really been bad. And as I explained earlier in this podcast, the sense of failure from that transition, the sense of having gone downhill, or like just totally sabotaging myself, it's overwhelming at this point. Where like if I'm watching a YouTube video, I just have to stop. It doesn't even matter if it's interesting at this point. I haven't done artistry. I haven't finished my commissions yet. I think it's valuable to some extent that right now I have this very solid sense that I am either doing what I'm supposed to or I'm not doing what I'm supposed to. Whereas for the past year or over a year, there was no sense of urgency. There was just like, yeah, I'll waste an entire week doing nothing but watching YouTube videos that are like mildly interesting. Oh, I haven't done any drawings yet? I'll get to it. Now it's like I spend like just 10 minutes watching a shit video that's not well scripted or anything, and I have to start drawing again. And you know what? It kind of feels good. I may have an overwhelming, depressing sense of failure, but at least I know when I'm doing something right and when I'm doing something wrong. And I think that's good. My ability to sustain a long, complicated train of thought and verbalize it is gone so downhill. I genuinely think I'm dumber than I used to be. And I almost know it for a fact. It is scientifically proven that being overweight makes your brain have to work harder to do the same amount of shit. And I'm fatter than I used to be. And I know a lot of you weirdos out there who like that sort of thing, It's fun in fiction, not fun in real life. So I gotta get fit, I gotta start eating better, and I have to stop fucking up my brain on the internet. My attention span, my ability to sustain thoughts for a long period of time, it's just bad. And I've been spending so much time lately, you know, not trying to fix boredom with eating, not trying to fix boredom with looking at random vapid entertainment, and just lying on the ground and thinking and putting thoughts together and having creative ideas. And lying on the ground doesn't feel that great. But the sense that you, like the understanding you get of your current situation when you have nothing to do but just think about it, that feels great. Highly recommend it. Highly recommend just lying on the floor, staring at the ceiling, being really anxious, not being able to sleep. Okay, this all sounds really bad. Not only have I gotten dumber, but I've gotten a lot less anxious. And I think most people, like, obviously, you shouldn't have an anxiety disorder, you know, if you're so anxious all the time to the point where it's ruining your life and you can't do anything and you feel awful, you know, then that's bad. But I used to be kind of anxious, kind of tense all the time. I used to feel like I have to try hard and I have to, you know, really make sure that I'm doing smart things and I'm being smart, you know. I had that kind of anxiety. It wasn't overwhelming. It didn't make my life feel like hell. It was just a good amount of anxiety. And I don't have that anymore. And yeah, I go to sleep a whole lot easier. But it's coming back. That anxiety is coming back. And it really correlates to the artistic mindset. Is that bad? Is it good? I just don't know. But I'm making drawings more. So I think it's good. So many of the artists that I look up to, that I used to spend so much time immersing myself in the thoughts of, the output, used to pay so much attention, just be like, I would inundate myself with the output of certain inspirations of mine. And I would still do that if they weren't all gone. So many of the artists that I really, really cared about have just either went on to change in ways where I no longer care for their thoughts. I no longer care about their kind of art, or they have died, or they have simply vanished, left the internet for whatever reason. So many of the artists that I used to really care about have left me one way or another. And it leaves me with almost this sense of aimlessness, like, how am I supposed to keep going now, you know? I guess that's why I've had to find something else. I don't know. I'm probably going to bed after I record this. This is probably going to be the last thing that I say on this quote unquote aimless podcast. I hope it's been fun, but I'm just leaving you, I guess, on it with a little bit of a bummer, downer. This reality that the artists I used to listen to, the artists I used to get inspired by, I don't have anymore. I wouldn't say that I have a lot of inspirations right now. And that's really bad, because an artist is almost dead without inspirations. I guess one of the things that is inspiring me right now is simply the memory of old artists and the feeling of obligation. Like, I have to try and take the inspirations I have from them and make something new. You know, I have to become an artist worth respecting in the way that I used to respect them. And sometimes I'll still listen to their old podcasts. I'll still listen to their old rambles. I'll still listen to things that they made, or I'll look at stuff that they created, and I'll revel in the memory of them. And I'll try and channel it into something. And I hope that even just by next week's time, when I record another one of these fucking things, I hope that something will have come of it. Even if all it is finishing up the commissions that I gotta get done right now. Yeah, I'll record another one of these in a week and tell you how I'm doing as an artist then. Maybe I'll tell you a random story. Maybe I'll just tell you what's gone on in the week, or ramble about some random shit. I don't know. This doesn't have to be about artistry. It doesn't have to be about anything. It just has to be about talking. It just has to be about speaking. Because I want to put myself out there more. I really want to put myself out there more. I want to talk about passions I have. I want to create lots of videos on my other channel that has nothing on it right now. They're just like 4 to 5 minute long videos about anime I like, what I've been watching, Anime is so important to me in ways that I can't even articulate without mulling over a script. And I don't think any of my followers know that. None of my followers have heard where those inspirations of my art come from, Because I'm not inspired by a whole lot of other fat furry artists, even though that's all that I draw. And that's all that I want to draw, really. Like, I want to create comics and manga, and, I want to work on games. I want to start getting into game development. And, some of my ideas still, even when it comes to real art that I put a lot of effort into, I put a lot of thought into, that I feel like is expressing something, there's still fetishistic elements of it, because I feel like fetishes are really important. I feel like fetishes are genuinely what art exists to express. And I feel like there's so much more I could be doing with it than what I already do. Fetish art can be a lot more than drawing a single image of just an explicit depiction of stuff that gets you going. It can also be expressive in other ways that are not additive to the fetishism, not secondary to, but create greater depth to the fetishistic focus. I don't agree that fetishes are just this random thing that pop up in your head that, you have no explanation for. There's nothing further to look into. And I don't agree that there's some simple thing that you look at fetish imagery and it makes your dick hard or whatever the fuck else, and that's all there is to it. Fetishes are like a fixation of your mind, something that has manifested into a part of your brain that will never leave you, that evokes a noticeable physical reaction from your body just because of how fixated your brain has become on it. That speaks to you in a certain way. And I think there's something to say about the fact that people have tons of different fetishes of all different kinds that have almost no relation to each other whatsoever, but they elicit sometimes similar feelings and always the same physical reaction. Obviously what I'm talking about is erections and whatever the fuck else. Everything that comes with that. And nobody wants to talk about it in that way. I want to talk about it in that way. I want to think about it in that way, and I want to use those thoughts that I have to create art. And I'm not making that art, and so I have to do it. So yeah, I want to make a lot more high effort stuff. And there's no way that I can do that without just jumping into it. What was I going to say before I got on this fucking tangent? I don't know. I'm really tired. I'm really, really tired right now. I want to be a good artist. I want to be a good artist. I want to be able to look up to myself as an artist. And I want anybody who could look up to me to have this, even if it's shit, even if it's aimless and rambly and has nothing to do. I want people to get to understand that, like, I'm just some fucking guy. Like, the art doesn't come out of nowhere. It comes from a person that has thoughts in their head and eccentricities and idiosyncratic definitions of words that nobody understands. I don't know. It comes from a guy who can't do very much of anything right, even though they passed all their fucking classes in school, no problem. Person that has internet addiction problems. Person that likes certain things. Just so that, like, you know, for other people who feel the same way as me, who, like, understand the words that are coming out of my mouth, people who, like, in some way feel like a connection to who I am, maybe they'll become artists. You know, maybe they'll think more about the art that they make. You know, maybe they'll become more inspired and think that art's more important to them if I am an artist that's important to them, you know? Because a lot of the reason why I want to be an artist is because I saw myself in other people who created art that I cared about so much. And I gotta create stuff that people care about. I gotta do it. I gotta do it. My mind is like looping now, where I just keep thinking, I gotta do it. And I guess that's a note to end on. Is I just gotta do it.